Hunter Biden is going to plead guilty on December 16th, and President Biden will pardon him probably days after. So just write that down. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses for being here today. We're here to examine the numerous failures of the Biden-Harris administration that have led to chaos for the American people. My constituents in the upstate of South Carolina feel deceived by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's reckless spending and policy positions that are dreamed up by woke Ivy League professors who have no common sense or real-world experience. These policies have led to record inflation, an unprecedented influx of illegal immigrants, and a drastic decrease in our standing in the global community. Many Americans have lost their trust in the government, and they do not believe it's working for them. And why should the American people trust this administration? They have flip-flopped around on policy when it best serves their interests because they know that what they are doing is wrong, and they're hurting the American people. They have deceived us from the start and cannot be trusted to lead our country for another 4 years. So let's start with immigration first. In 2020, the vice president ran on decriminalizing illegal border crossings and even endorsed the redirection of funds from ICE to our law enforcement agencies. On day one of this administration, President Biden ordered a stop to the construction of the border wall, the end of the successful Remain in Mexico policy, and gave exemption status to millions of illegal immigrants already here with a 100-day deportation moratorium. As a result, Border Czar Harris's overwhelmed southern border is responsible for the #1 cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 45, fentanyl overdoses, which kills hundreds of people every day. Crime has skyrocketed in cities across the country, and our law enforcement officers have not received adequate assistance from our leaders. Now, Vice President Harris says she will fund thousands of new border agents and continue funding the construction of a border wall, the wall that she has previously opposed dozens of times. Mr. Krikorian, can officials from this administration be trusted to follow through on the VP's promises to finally support law enforcement and finish the border wall when they have done the exact opposite for their entire tenure?
Well, in investment, they say past performance is no guarantee of future results, but I think in politics, how can you avoid it? I mean, there's no way to read the future except by looking at what they have said and done. And so, no, I don't think.
Well, she won't answer interviews whatsoever, and it really is sad that she's running from everything that she's done, and she's taking the exact opposite position on every major issue. Let's talk about instability abroad. In 2020, Joe Biden ran for president on a promise to, quote, restore America's alliances and leadership abroad. These past 4 years have been a showcase of the exact opposite. Our allies no longer trust us, and our enemies no longer fear us. The Biden-Harris administration's foreign policies have given our enemies the green light to attack in Israel and in Ukraine without the fear of retaliation. The catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan resulted in the tragic loss of American lives and gave terrorist organizations direct access to our most advanced military equipment. Finally, China is constantly overstepping in the South China Sea and worldwide because they no longer see America as a dominant leader on the world stage. Now, Vice President Harris promises to find a peaceful solution to international conflicts and continue on the foreign policy track of her current administration. Ms. Mobbs, can our nation, or the world for that matter, withstand another 4 years of this same foreign policy without devastating outcomes for the global community?
No, it cannot. And while we're speaking about facts, I want to address I'm Dr. Mobbs, not Dr. Hobbs, and I appreciate the opportunity to also set the record straight on a couple of different things, as this is critical to talk about oversight. In particular, if you're talking about Ukraine, for example, there have been substantial issues with oversight that I think that we need to address. Now, congressional Republicans should be very proud of the fact that it has been their leadership that allowed 39 oversight provisions to enter into any of the supplementals. However, to your point, Congressman, there has been a refusal to give the weapons that they need. They've done onerous restrictions on that, which is a continuation of Obama policy, will be a continuation of Biden policy, and therefore continuation of Harris policy. They also failed to deliver an unclassified version of the strategy to Congress. It was already months late, and therefore there's no transparency to the American people.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I got one more issue I got to address, and I'll just say this. When Trump wins in November, Russia will be out of Ukraine, and all the hostages will be released probably before he's actually sworn in. Last, but certainly not least, inflation. Back in 2021, President Biden told the American people inflation would be only temporary. Then Treasury Secretary Yellen claimed inflation was transitory. Outrageously, in 2022, Biden cast the blame on Russian aggression in Ukraine for rising prices. Listen, the people of my district are suffering because inflation is the highest it's been in my lifetime. Interest rates are through the roof, and that's hitting them in the grocery store, at the gas pump. And look, they're just worse off than they were 4 years ago. It's as simple as that, and I think that's what's on the ballot in November. And Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you having this hearing, and with that, I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen.